bonke mama, maak hoe beheer die propaganda. Wella, c'est Zuid-Afrika. Em sê hier kom die bonke mama, maak hoe beheer die propaganda. Wella, c'est Zuid-Afrika. Sê my waar kry jy mens, nog 'n Springbok soos ek. Wella, ons is Suid-Afrika. Sê my waar kry jy mens, nog 'n Springbok soos ek. Wella, ons is Suid-Afrika. Ons is Suid-Afrika. Yo, ons is lief vir jou. Yo, ons is lief vir jou. Ons is lief vir jou. Suid-Afrika. Ons is Suid-Afrika. Sê my waar kry jy mens, nog 'n Springbok soos ek. Ons is lief vir jou. Suid-Afrika.
Wella, who's the South Africa? Welcome to Têkkel Thursday, and we are the
Four-time world champions.
Champions.
Four-time world champions.
Wella, who's the South Africa?
Lekker.
Hey, ons het gewonnen en ons het sommige tye 'n bietjie gestres. 1 punt, maar ons is die wêreldbeker kampioene. Die Springbokke wat hom huis toe bring. Ongelooflike episode. Ek sien jy is live in hy video en dit sommer gaaf gegaan.
Het gaan. Kyk, dit was 'n buiteparty. Dit was 'n die buurt het bymekaar gekom met 'n big screen gehad of 'n projektor gehad buite. Het vuur gemaak en dit was 'n lekker kuier geweest. Ja, dit was really awesome. Ek dink reg oor Suid-Afrika het almal natuurlik hulle op hulle eie maniere in malls en waar ook al met die mense net lekker bymekaar gekom. I mean the Boks do that. The Boks really do that and it's fantastic to see. So yeah, very excited. Very excited about tonight and for the next 4 years. Ek gaan lank van hom die smile van my gesig af te kry.
We're probably going to heard a lot of moaning about the New Zealand supporters. Let's be honest, New Zealand, they were not the hottest coming into this World Cup, and a lot of people obviously wrote them off. They made it all the way to the final, but South Africa having to come out of that pool and then play France in the quarterfinal, play England in the semi-final, having to play one of the favorites then, New Zealand, in the final to beat them. Ek dink daar's te veel stories oor referees en mathematics.
Ja.
En jy moet krediet gee aan die Springbokke van 'n neutrale punt af. Moet jy krediet gee vir die Springbokke?
Ja.
Om natuurlik te sê uit daai pool uit al die pad tot die wêreldbeker eindstryd en dan die All Blacks. Natuurlik met 14 man, ons gaan later 'n bietjie daaroor praat. And we are the Rugby World Cup champions and we cannot
Isn't that beautiful?
It's back-to-back champions. I'm not sure. We need to check the stats on that one.
Yeah, no, we're very excited about. And with that said, Aini, all the way, and we're going to talk later. We're going to review the log on Super Brew just a bit later. But we have to announce that the winner of the Têkkel talk show Super Brew pool for 2023 is none other than a gentleman all the way from South Africa. He's van South Africa, he's van Namakoland oorspronklik. En hy is van Suid-Afrika natuurlik en hy het die pool gewen en all the way from New Zealand at 7 o'clock in the morning. We welcome Melvin Engelbrecht, our Têkkel champion for 2023.
Nelly, jy kan baie bly wees, ons het nou nie hoe kan ek sê, ons wou eintlik 'n hair salon, 'n tipe van 'n dinges gehad het wat ons nou vir as 'n prys gegee het, maar natuurlik het die volg die ander skrip. Ons kan nog nie by 'n hair salon gee vir jou prysie, maar wel gedaan, Mary. Kan jy nog Afrikaans praat?
Ja, jy raak nog ons lekker persoonlik, nee, saam met jou comments, nee, Hendrik, nee. Maar ja, ek kan het altyd vir my vrou gegee het, nee.
There you go, Melvin Ingham. That was I'm sure it's an old photo, Melly. I'm sure it's an old photo, right?
Ek onthou wat daai Melly, dis hoekom ek sê, ons nog gegee. Ek kon hou daai Melly wat hy ou nog sy hare kon uitblou, né?
But Melly, thanks for joining us. I know it's natuurlik baie vroeg hier op pad werk toe. En dankie jy vir saam ons vanaand is. Net gou, jy top geëindig van 'n pool van oor die 30, baie tawe kompetisie gewees. Geef ons 'n bietjie insig, wat was jou strategie gewees oor die toernooi?
Oh yes, like a very Heinrich and almal by Têkkel show. Atamarie ora koutou almal, dis beteken maar net goeiemôre. En Mauri hierso, 'n man leer maar so stadig die woorde want die culture is diep hierso. Anyway, Alberg, jy wil weet, strategie, nee jong, ek weet daar was 'n strategie, ek weet ek het die brein gehad soos Erasmus en daai manne wat analytical is en daai tipe van dinge doen, maar wie nee, is maar net stryd van die couch af, praat 'n bietjie saam met die ouens by die werk en ja, kry net opinies, maar daar is nog net YouTube. Ek het nie eens hele games gekyk nie. Ek het net die Boks se games gekyk en net so dit is maar net couch potato, couch potato picks.
Ja nee, dis wonderlik. En ek dink wat die verskil gemaak het in terme van Superbro is die margins wat jy reg gekry het, Melly. Ek dink jy was baie naby aan die verskille tussen spanne. Jy het baie kere selfs in die kool geraai en dit is wat op die ou einde van die dag vir jou deurslaggewend was. Ek weet wedstryd tussen 'n span soos Tonga, Suid-Afrika, sal jy nou dink, hey, kan die margin wees en jy was altyd in die mix. Jy het altyd die margin so naby gekry en op die ou einde van die dag geel keppietjie op geel keppietjie, Hein wat sê congrats Melly en ek kan vir jou sê dit was nie speletjies in die poolie, ek kan vir jou sê dit is paar heavyweights wat jy gespeel het en op die ou einde van die dag was dit net genoeg. Ek bedoel dit is al wat jy nodig het, as hy margin points, hy bonus points en as ek kyk na jou tellings, was jy altyd 'n punt uit of 2 punte uit. So miskien moet jy 'n bietjie lotto begin speel. Mens weet nooit waar jy gaan opeindig.
Miskien ja.
Melly, maar net Melly, jy's in New Zealand en net gou, wat is jy gemoed in New Zealand? Natuurlik is daar baie vrae, hy net vroeër daarop net getouch in die terme van vrae wat gevra is oor die referee en is baie moaning gewees op sekere call en nou dieselfde kan gesê word soms op ons kant want ons moan ook baie keer oor. In fact, wie ook al nie verloor kant gaan maar deur hy patch ook, maar wat is jy gemoed in New Zealand veral na die way hulle verloor het, jy het rooi kaart en daar sprake oor die nuwe coach. Wat is jy gemoed in New Zealand nou met die nuwe 4 jaar cycle wat nou opkom?
Ja. Okay. Alberg, ek sal jou net kan 'n comment gee, Alberg en Heinrich van die ouens wat tussen ek weet, die kiwis by die werk en soos ek hoor van hoe hulle se opinie gee van die pundits. Hierso soos 2 groepe is wanneer die ouens by die werk waar ek met rondweg en 'n paar vriende wat ek hier het in Kapiti Coast, hier waar ons bly. So dis maar net van daai perspektief af so moet nie kwaad die enige iemand wat die video kyk. Maar wat ek kan sê is as ek by na die game wat is nog gewen het, dan vra ek jou ouens so what is your thoughts on on the game? Ek vra nie what is your thoughts of the referee nie, ek vra what is your thoughts on the game? En meeste van hulle van die supporters sal nou sê soos fair game. I think New Zealand had a lot of opportunities. They didn't use that opportunities. and most of them commented on Peter Step the Toy's awesome work rate. They comment on whenever opportunities presents itself to the Bokke, they manage to take it. So that's what makes him a good knockout rugby team. So dit is meestal hulle se comments, jy weet, is meestal positief. Die ouens vat die verloor op die chin, verstaan jy? So hulle sal jou nie vir moan en complain nie. Maar daar's mos altyd enetjie.
Daar's altyd ene, ja.
Daar een ou by die werk, hy sit so oorkant by. My so 'n bietjie Daar's een kiewetjie, maar hy praat so vinnig man. As ek saam met hom praat, sê ek, so what's your thoughts? En dan sê vra ek hom, hey, sê nou byvoorbeeld sy naam is Nige. Sê, hey Nige, what's your thoughts on the game? Sê, that game would break me. We should get out of the division, get out of the referees, man. Seriously, we should review these rules. So yeah, it's my mixed feeling, and daai is nou die supporters, maar die pundits, die ouens is nie baie impressed met ons pundits, wat nie, jy weet, wat hele ander perspektief wat van die, hoe sal ek sê, skewed perspektief van hoe die reels geapply raak, en baie bias vir die All Blacks. Hulle is bietjie teleurgesteld in ons pundits. Sommige van die ouens hier so like liewerste die Suid-Afrikaanse pundits commentators luister. Hulle is nie so impressed saam met manne so Justin Marsley, hy is jong en die blonde haartjies. Jeff Wilson. Ja, hulle is nie so baie impressed om die ouens nie. Maar verder is die gemoed. Yeah, Jeff Wilson, yeah.
Oh, there we go. Melly, and yeah, you know what, and with that said, you know, that's kan baie gesê, but I think in general, and I've read a few comments online, in general, on the various sites, whether it's in New Zealand or, you know, World Rugby international sites, there is a general consensus that the New Zealanders are very sportsmen, like they take it on the chin, jy nou gesê het, ek het dit opgetel ook, en ek dink dit is net die natuur van hoe die, you know, die lande is tussen mekaar, so Afrika en New Zealand, en dis net, wys net die respect. Maar Melly, dankie man, ek weet jy's op pad werk toe, wil jy nie ophou nie, Pel, maar dankie dat jy ingekom het, en dan sien wie op 'n call is, jy gaan jou prys binnekort kry, en gaan dit later announce, maar dankie Melly, en well done weer eens.
Ja nee, dankie manne, dankie dat julle maar gehad het, alles, enjoy die celebrations by kant man. Yes, like ons wens ons kan daar gewees het, maar geniet die show. Allemaal, Têkkel show. Cheers man.
Melly, groete daar.
Lekker.
Melvin Engelbreg, Berk, ek dink of jy verdiende wenner.
100%.
Dit was lekker daar uit die top. Miskien kan jy gou net die log wys vir ons.
Yes.
Net vinnig hoe die log vir ons wys. Het was lekker daar uit die top, en natuurlijk as Melvin Engelbreg die wenner. En daar het jy weet, kyk waar is Alberik, Alberik.
Sure, very impressive, eh? What a comeback.
That
could be the comeback of the season, man. Hey, that could be the comeback. Maar anyway,
kom ons aan kyk hoe daar's manne, kyk hoe waar het ek op jou einde van die dag opgeëindig.
Ja, maar baie ver afskrou. Ek kan nie meer verder as dit skrou nie, kan ek. Sjoe. 26 Zilo is net agter jou.
Zilo.
Lekker.
As jy onder my guys.
Ja.
Maar opgegaan. Hier aan die einde toe, maar daar is Bluebird heel onder die heel onder Steve. Ek het niks minder van hulle verwag nie. Maar kyk daar so. Kom ons kyk gou na die leaderboard, Alberik aan die bokant. Daar is die manne natuurlik heel aan die bokant. Miali, Jack,
And I must say, I need just to add to that, our top female contestant, Tracy Carlson. Tracy, well done, Tracy. You are a fantastic competitor. Look, she's 6, and she was so tough. She always stayed also among that top when it came to that margin. So well done with her. I've seen Furlough's ook in the mix, so well done, Furlough. So yeah, Heini, well done. Been a fantastic one. It's something we can. I think we're going to announce the prize a bit later, but wow.
We must also say it is the second time in a row. You also went back to back in the head-to-head between the two of us. So you've got the trumps on me in 2 years in a row.
Lekker, man.
It's not only in World Cup, in URCs as well. So it seems to me that het lyk vir my daar is natuurlik 'n rugby kenner hier tussen ons twee en dit is Alberic wat kan raak raai in terme van kennis. So, miskien moet hulle van my uit Superbroe uit net rally kyk. As he by
Look,
identity.
but with that said, I bedoel daar was 'n hele paar heavy wedstryde wat enige kant toe kon geswaai het. Een van hulle was natuurlik ook die derde en vierde plek Engeland wat vir Argentinië wen. Argentina very disappointing this tournament. I felt like I really felt, I mean, they ended up in the semis, which was not bad at all, but the group games were kind of average, I think.
Yeah, I think we expected a little bit more from Argentina. They came out in this game playing very well in the first half. They started well, and it seemed to me that they brought their mojo, but in the end, England just a little bit too strong. Argentina tried to fight back in some instances in the last 5 minutes of this game, but I think irrespective about the controversial referee calls, I believe that England was the better side with the last quarter of the game, and Argentina just not consistent enough in this competition. You would probably think, how did they get it this far? But that is the nature of the draw, and we'll speak a bit later about draw itself and how it assisted certain teams and hampered certain teams. But England, I think, well deserved in the end bronze medalist in the Rugby World Cup 2023.
Yeah, no, I mean, England they kind of had a upwards curve throughout the tournament. They definitely showed that they're still England after all, and I think we nobody took them lightly in the semi against them. I think we always knew. I mean, they were always, England will always be one of the top 5 or 6 teams in the world, and we could never take them lightly. And that is why the results show they ended up third, and kudos to them. We obviously know that I think a France or Ireland would have really, I think, annihilated them probably in a game like this with nothing to lose on the table. But yeah, at the end of the day, kudos to them for ending the third in a very open kind of tournament.
No, for sure. And then also we know that this English side came so close against the Boks to reach the final, but in the end, the Boks are just too strong. But I think the English, to come in third place, given the odds against them, I think they will be chuffed and satisfied to walk away at least with a third place award for the Rugby World Cup 2023.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think it just bodes well for the team. Again, Botuk, a lot has been said about him and his techniques. As kan baie gesê word oor Owen Farrell ook. Maar ek kyk ou soos Ben Earl wat natuurlik he's a lot been said about him, and he has definitely has ability to really come through at some point as well as being one of a kind type of player. He's being mentioned among big names. But yeah, good to see that rugby is that open. But obviously we didn't. If you guys don't know, and if you were away for the weekend in some hidden resort or hidden place, if you guys didn't know, that was the final score for the Rugby World Cup 2023. I mean, we're going to speak a lot about it later on again, but just a magnificent performance. You called it just before the game we went live. You said by 1 point. Kudos to you for doing that and for saying that. But what an achievement! What a feel good to the rest of the country. It just gives us that that feel of we owning our space in the Rugby World Cup. We might not be the best team, and there's a lot been said. I don't think if you look at rugby overall, I think the All Blacks of the the 2000s and 2010s, they were phenomenal. They very few teams could beat them. They might not have won World Cups, but they were, in between World Cups, they were absolutely amazing, and they played some great rugby. So I don't think we're just there yet, to be honest with you. But in knockout rugby, World Cup rugby, I think you can rightfully say that we do rule it. And it's good to see, see her lifting a trophy again, well deserved. And it feels so like a fairy tale to see it all come together, starting 2018 to where the guys ended up now.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think, Beric, you've mentioned it, and rightfully so. When it comes to knockout rugby, semi-finals, quarterfinals, whether you win with a mile or whether you win with an inch, winning is winning. And I think you are right. You've just mentioned that when we do get a sniff, we manage to pull it through. A lot of people, there's a lot of debate. Is this the best Springbok side in the history? Are we the best rugby team in the world at the moment? That to me it's almost secondary. When the Springboks, when they do get into those knockout games, they manage to win the games that matter, and that is for me important. And this the final almost took a turn for the worst. Yes, Sam Cane, red card, 14 men. But remember, in the second minute of this game, we lost Bongi and Manambe, and we had to play a Rugby World Cup final without a recognized hooker in 100%. The second minute of this game. And that to me, remember, we had a 7-1 split. So in our mind, we were going to bring on 7 forwards in the second half. And all of a sudden, our substitute hooker, not hooker, made hooker, manufactured hooker, needs to take to the field and play 78 minutes of rugby. Yeah. It to me was a big curveball, and still we managed to pull it through. This is a team that if they get a sniff, they're going to put you away. And I know the All Black pundits is saying, maar sit 15 blah, blah. If you look at that injury to Bongi and Manambe and what Dion Fourie managed to do, remember, losing 4 lineouts against his throw, still managed to edge it out. It is magnificent. It is brilliant from a Springbok side, under the pump, playing against 14 men. Yes, we take full responsibility for some chances that we perhaps missed. Yeah. But when it comes to knockout rugby, LB, die Springboks spanne wat in die laaste 4 jaar, hulle weet om 'n final te wen, om 'n semi-final te wen, om 'n kwart en te wen. Soos hulle sê, hulle weet nie wat ons weet nie. So we have a way of winning, and it's just great to see. I mean, we missed 2 World Cups, 87, 91, and since 95, our ratio on winning has been phenomenal. I think it's 4 out of 8, if I'm not mistaken. So that's already amazing. But with that said, guys, I want you guys to also chip in. Let us know your thoughts on the game. We want to hear where you guys felt we lost it, we won it, where things differed from our opinion, because obviously this, we have our own views. We all have our own views. If you're New Zealander, you'll have your own opinion as well. But up until that, I think the 28th minute when Sam Cane went off, the Boks were incredibly dominant in tackles. They were forcing errors. I think what the pundits are kind of going back on is that the Boks never played rugby. The Boks played rugby. They played knockout rugby. They forced the errors. You saw Jordie Barrett being caught behind the line. You saw being caught by a flanker, which was, Peter Steff he had Jordie's number all day long. You had Riku Johanni, uncharacteristic, things he was trying, or knock-ons that was happening. They were dominant tackles, even with the Frizzell, because a lot was being said in the Twickenham game. The Boks didn't, All Blacks didn't have Shannon Frizzell playing, and that's kind of the enforcer. But in that 28 minutes, the Boks were incredibly dominant. They were forcing the errors, and I think that type of rugby was what we were expecting on. Every hit was really being cheered on, and there was a kind of quiet strength that was going on, and it was just hit after hit, and it was the guys who were being forced backwards. I think there was moments where they weren't going over the line, and the Boks was hitting them behind the line. So with that said, the 28 minutes, I think even with 15 men on the field,
the Boks played to that strength. And I think if they continued that, we knew the All Blacks going to come out the second half. We knew they're going to come out. They've got nothing to lose. They're going to throw the ball around. So kudos to them coming back and actually showing themselves in the second half to come back with 14 men in the field. The Boks should have had a kind of knockout punch that was done, but they took their chances. They kicked to post when it was needed. And you look at the French game again, they kicked to post instead of going for line when they could have won the game. They kicked to the line. So the Springboks know when to switch it on, and that's a sign of a championship team.
No, for sure. And I think the big concern against France and against England, it was mentioned in our episode, they started slow. The Springboks, they didn't get out of the starting blocks, and they remained under pressure, chasing the game. It was important. And there you need to give full credit, I believe, full credit, not only to the players, but to the coaching staff who identified that as a weakness. We need to get out of the blocks very sharp, start sharp, hit the All Blacks behind the gain line.
Yeah.
And that is what happened. We were absolutely destructive in the first 20 minutes of that game. We looked like a championship side. And I believe even with Sam Cane having to stay on the field, 15 against 15, and if we could choose the scenario where Bongi Mbonambi remains on the field, we would have beaten that All Black side with 15 men against 15 men. We had the attitude, we had the hustle, we started well, we just looked like a team in a final. And it looked totally different than what I saw in the 20 minutes against France and England. It looked just, the Springboks, they were just switched on. And remember, if it was in a perfect world, the Springboks had 7 substitutions to make in the second half. It was just going to be too much. And yes, we take we are sober in terms of what the Dion Fourie substitution meant in terms of the substitution compilation, because all of a sudden now you had to think about when does Kwagga come on, because if you had Dion, you had something in the bank. But I think in general, the Springboks started well. You had Faf de Klerk playing pretty well, and then I need to apologize to one player. Remember, in the first episode of this series, I said Andre Esterhuizen to trump Damien Delendi for the number 12 jersey. I think in the semi-final, the quarter-final, and the final, but more specifically, the match against Ireland, Damien Delendi proved to all of us and silenced all the critics that he is a pivotal player in that whole Springboks. What a player. I think perhaps an underrated player. And myself said, perhaps Damien Delendi is past his sell-by date. He proved to me that he is certainly still there to pull the strings and hit the gain line when needed. He had a very, very good tournament, Alberic.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there was a lot of talk. I mean, Esterhuizen is, the next, player in this division that could possibly take that role, in the upcoming cycle towards the next World Cup. But Damien just, brings a solidness. I think there's only one occasion where he was kind of half brought backwards, but I think at that point already, the All Blacks knew that they had to have at least 1 or 2 extra players on him because he was going across the advantage line. He gives us that ball. He's a midfield. He's a backline forward almost, because he brings us over the gain line and he sets up balls so nicely. And that we can start playing. And I think that was for example when Mani was obviously still running the show. Mani would feed off that kind of front foot ball. Faf would be able to play, and Mani could play off that go forward that he creates in Damien. And so, well done, team. My apology goes out to Jesse Kriel. I mean, Jesse Kriel might not be the most flashiest guy. He might not be the most creative guy, to be honest, with all respect. I mean, I don't know what he does on the field, but he found a way to just put some pressure on. Yeah, he put some incredible, not only this game, but against the English and, in fact, against the French especially, he put an incredible amount of pressure on that rush, on our rush defense. And then also, if you look at his chip kick, the game against the French is chip. As with the French, the chip kick that put Cheslin away, for example. He is that player, and I think kudos goes to him as well. And I've used it word a few times this evening, but he really has grown in that position after many years. He's really kind of brought that stability we needed on defense. So well done to him. William Breintjies vanaand, wat sê hy nie quoting Dominic Toretto is the highlight of the show for me. Sê goed, wat 'n lyn was hy gewees?
Ja,
family.
Ons ken nie wat Dominic Toretto nie, hy moet dit
Dom Toretto van Fast and Furious, is it the family one?
He said, I think it's winning by a mile or winning by an inch. Winning is winning. I think I said that.
Yeah.
If it is correct, I'm learning something new that Dominic Toretto used that line. Steve Goliath, there was an idea to disrupt our pack early on. It is the run of play. I feel that Bongi enforced injury was a slight tactic. You know what? I had a discussion with some of let's say some of the rugby pundits, and I don't want to say that Shannon Frizzell would attempt to do that deliberately. I don't want to get into that discussion. But very strange that they target a player where they know that we only have let's say a partial hooker on the bench, and that we have gone 7-1. It's very, very suspect. And also, I was thinking someone to target Faf de Klerk, for instance, because we went 7-1 and we had to move either one of our wickets to scrum off. So we know that the All Blacks at the breakdown, they don't always stick to the rules. We had a All Black player using his foot to try and knock a ball there. Yes, we did get the penalty, but we didn't even get the penalty for that, because there was even another All Black player prohibiting Faf de Klerk to get to the ball. And then we saw a All Blacks player. So they don't always stick to the rules.
Yeah.
And I think what Steve is saying is, was it perhaps a intentional move? I hope not. I think
we can neither confirm or deny, Steve.
I don't think any player would go into a run to hurt a player. What was clear is Shannon reckless, not coming through the gate, right from the side. And when you do that, you must always take into account that you might injure a player or hurt a player in a way that perhaps it wasn't your intention. But what I can say is, looking at the game in its totality, the Springboks, I don't believe that they were hitting it full straps, but the fact that with one player down, especially the yellow card that Siya Kolisi received, and then the All Blacks having that notion, let's kick for the line. I think they did it thrice or twice. Yeah. It's more the Springbok side. It's a total disrespect to what the Springboks forward can bring. We know that they were unsuccessful in their attempts. And then the third or the fourth time, they then selected to go for post. It was actually the most difficult penalty that they gave to of all of them. They decided, listen, Dory, you need to kick this one. And then I thought to myself, that is what you have when you take on a pack that is defensively as sound, even with our captain and a forward player on a yellow card. They still managed to keep this All Black side out. Through championship side, Barry.
Yeah, no, and that just shows, I think, the mentality that the All Blacks went on into this game, with the fact that they will be going with a, running off our feet, etc., and the way we know them, and they've done it over the years. I mean, think of the many games that they've come from behind and they win us, and it's like, so we never at all at any point. It was a nervous week for any Springbok fan, because we know the All Blacks have hurt us many years. So that's why this is so sweet. So we'll enjoy it while we have it. But with that said, to answer Steve again, I don't think any player would do that intentionally. There was probably targeting of the disruption, like Steve says, on certain plays, just to kind of disrupt our pack. But yeah, I think guys like Deon Fourie really stepped up. I mean, being I think 38 years old, to be a World Cup winner. well done. I think that's really that's amazing, and I think just it gives a lot of hope to a lot of players that are probably towards the end of their careers, and they would probably look at possibly another World Cup. I don't know, but yeah, it's good to see the players that we thought were kind of tired going to that semis from a very hectic quarterfinal showed up. Peter Steff, phenomenal. Just his work rate was, 28 tackles, that says it all. And then, guys like Jesse Kriel, with that rush D, just putting himself out there, I think that was amazing. And then guys like our wingers, Cheslin was busy. Kirtley was busy. They were defending. Look at the cross tackle that Kirtley made on Ricky Ohani in the corner, and then Cheslin there to cover the potential offload. That is fantastic. Cheslin ran from the other side of the field to come and do cover defense. So that just shows we were desperate to win that game. And I don't think, as also Rikus du Plessis say, it is that we have a tendency, because of what the legacy of the 1995 team has led. We have the Boks almost feel, and I feel it's almost unnecessary pressure sometimes, because we can't put in so much pressure on a squad of 33 guys to carry the hopes of so many, but they did it well. Our captain has just been phenomenal in terms of after his press conferences, how he carried himself, and just showing what a statesman he is. I think somebody said if he has ever going to become a president, we will vote for him. I think he's an amazing, just amazing person, and just a role model for so many. And here's some of the snaps from today. Obviously, the Boks making their way through Pretoria. They're obviously doing their nationwide tour. I think they're hitting 5 cities over the next couple of days. Tomorrow is Cape Town. So guys, if you're in Cape Town, please send us your videos. We'd like to see where you're at. Tag us, or just send us messages or pictures. We'd like to see you guys part of it. And you can see what this looks like. It's just something that makes you want to feel so. It makes you just warm inside in terms of your national pride that you have for the Springboks. So very exciting.
And Damian Willems is still in his Rugby World Cup attire. Guy's a legend, He's just one of a kind. But I think what we need to mention on the show, and it was a talking point, Wayne Barnes. I think he had a phenomenal final. There was a lot of controversial moments. The try that the All Blacks scored, and he kept his cool. He kept his cool to refer to the TMO, got the right call. The Sia call, high tackle on Muhanga, he got it right. The red card call, I think, spot on. There's, in my opinion, absolutely no doubt that Sam Cane should have made a better attempt to tackle Jesse Kriel a little bit lower. The deliberate knockdown from Cheslin Colby, where he had to look for potential line break or a potential try-scoring opportunity to give the yellow card, again, spot on.
Awesome.
The last scrum and tackle ball to blow that, to make sure that you close out the game as a referee under the circumstances that it did. I believe, and I'm taking myself now away from being a Springbok supporter and having watched that game thrice during the week, Wayne Barnes can retire, and he can retire with a lot of peace in mind that he perhaps his final game at one of the biggest stages of sport, and perhaps one of his, when we do interview him sometime, the biggest game of his career. He really kept his cool, made the big calls. You look at the Sia Kolisi incident where he asked for 6, 7, 8, 9 angles to slow it down, to make sure that in the end he makes the correct call. We as South Africans said, it's whiplash, it's not. Perhaps it should not be a card, a penalty only. He made the correct call under the circumstances, sent it to the bunker, made sure that he checked all the criteria that needed to be checked. And I think a lot of this John Kerwin trash about the referees, and especially the referee in the final, I think we should really stop this nonsense now. and watch that game from a neutral perspective.
Yeah.
Even that slowdown where the All Blacks eventually got the try. We as eyes forward. Oh, it's forward from Talia. He slowed it down. He checked it thrice. He checked it 4 times, 5
100%.
times. Get to the right call.
100%,
I believe very, very, very good final.
What message are we putting out to potential referees out there, guys that either have retired or youngsters that want to play? If we are, badgering, and even South African supporters, guys, that's in this Scandinavian. We've also gone through our bouts of losses and we question or whatever. But what the pressure, the amount of pressure these referees go under on a stage like that. I mean, you can see the amount of pressure a referee in a club game can have also whether it's Western Province or Boland, and then you take them to the international. There's an incredible amount of pressure on them, and they have to make certain split decisions. I think the TMO is a great addition to the game because it allows the coach, the ref to see things that we can't see. And I think the way they dealt with some of the calls have already been, before they even go to the, TMO, then the, bond or any of the refs would call up and say, guys, have you had it? Yes, we've looked at his foot's not in touch. You can award the try. And I think that's amazing. It takes a lot out of the game to have that, 50-50 calls happen. You won't get such circumstances where you would doubt it, what the outcome would be because you're having second and third looks at situations. And I think it's needed in a game like ours. I think even football can probably learn a bit more from the way rugby manages that process. And I think it's just amazing to see how that for me it worked, this tournament. From let's call it a JK perspective, John Kerwin perspective, they're looking to pace the game up. They don't want South Africans running onto the field and TMOs being called because they want to speed the game up. There was even calls, I think a week ago about, I think it was Matt Williams or somebody said the scrum should be removed. Could be not mean Matt Williams, but scrums should be removed. That's then the essence of rugby. That's what the rugby is all about. Why? Because we found a niche of what works for us in our DNA as Springboks and what makes us so strong. Now let's remove that so that we can level the playing field. I think there's a lot to row about it. So Africa didn't play to their full potential in that game, I feel. However, when it comes to that style of rugby, we played the game that won a World Cup. And I think there's no doubt, and I don't think a true, a purist of the game, whether you're neutral or even a New Zealander in this case, would argue with that. I've watched a few pundits, a few podcasts as well, and a lot of them said, New Zealand had their chances. Yeah. SA also had their chances. There was one or two. There was a break where Sia was running on down the line. I think it's in the 22, and it was just one pass away. I think inside or outside that could have, put the game past any doubt. I think we're still 12-6 ahead at that one point. There was a break down the line with Peter Steff that stole the ball. There was Kwagga that ripped the ball. There was those great moments that we could have also capitalized, and I dare to say it. Ouers soos Manny so moles gemaak het. Hy het nie die gedoune wat sê humble pie die Ellende, humble pie Jesse, humble pie Andre. Wat sê jy nie?
Nee, verseker, ek dink Heinrich verwys na ons episode van laas week waar hy baie vocal was oor Henry Pollard. En hoekom ons gesê het miskien moes Manny die not kry. Ons weet dat ons Henry Pollard het en natuurlik 'n fenominale speler. However, jy weet, soms moet ons vir onsself die vraag vra, wat is ons DNA? En is ons DNA iets wat ons gaan vorentoe vat? As jy kyk na byvoorbeeld die All Blacks wat vir ons probeer klop het dieselfde manier soos wat Engeland vir ons onder pressure gesit het. Aaron Smith se skoppe was almal te diep geweest. En wanneer jy die skop game speel, is die margin vir error verskriklik klein. Ek dink jy weet ou soos Faf was weer on top of his game. Ek moet sê met Henry Pollard daar was ek baie bekommerd oor die tempo van die game, maar ou soos Henry Pollard, wanneer die bokke die tempo van die game kan bepaal en die tempo van die game kan dikteer, all of a sudden Henry Pollard
Ja.
baie op sy gemak en het hy die game 'n bietjie na homself toe gevat.
Ja.
Die groot probleem is wanneer spanne soos Frans, Ierland en New Zealand, when they take the game to us. And I think that is where New Zealand can look at that game. They should look at the replay and especially the initial parts where the Springboks didn't play at a high tempo, but they just hit them behind the goal line. The Springboks, all the ascendancy. And I think in that case, certainly, the Lendi, Jesse Kriel, Pieter Step the Toy making all the tackles, Andre Pollard, all of a sudden, the whole puzzle just comes together. And in that case, we must say, certainly, Andre Pollard, the correct selection for the final. We had a lot to say about Manie Libbok, but in that case, we need to say Andre Pollard. Daar's aan my twee skoppe vroeg aan die begin. Dink ek myself jy sien wat laat leer die klomp so na links toe jong, hy moet hom nou 'n bietjie nader aan die middel kom.
Die wheel alignment is uit.
Die wheel alignment was 'n bietjie uit, maar that is Andre, nerves of steel. And at the end of the day, he can now brag with 2 titles in the bag in both competitions. Remember that the Wales game in 2019 when he had to kick a crunch one, a lot like Morne Steyn to take us through. He did that, and also a perfect record in the final. Something that both Richie Mo'unga and Jordie Barrett cannot boast about. I think both of them missing a kick in this do or die tussle. And in general, I think those players, Jesse Kriel, Damon Nalendi, Andre, they silenced a lot of critics.
Yeah, no, and just to add to that, I think I think it was all, like you mentioned, so horses for courses, and I said it last week also. In Rassie, ons is so baie vertroue in Rassie. As hy besluit dis die ding, we go with it, and I think that was it last week. Yes. There's Pollard fans and there's Manie fans, but we also knew when that decision was made, it was like, okay, it's the final after all, and that would work. I think if it was a drier game, maybe it would have probably been a different circuit. Maybe that played a role. But from the get-go, the way the Boks played, I think the rain would have just added to us in our style that we needed to play for that game. So yes, Andre played. He played well. And he's still not, for me, just from the get-go, he missed a tackle or two, and something still I feel still with his channel, something that a good team could exploit, really, because I think his defense is not that great always. And I think Sia mentioned a couple of weeks ago that, a guy like Manie, you don't have to hide Manie in a game. He's the kind of fly if you don't have to hide, because he's tackling with the forwards. He's taking on, those hits. So, but yeah, for this game, Andre was the correct choice. I'm very excited to see going into the new year. After 2019 we had COVID coming up, and we couldn't use that momentum going into a new rugby championship season. I would like to see where the Boks go to from now with the new blood that they've brought in, with the Kanan Moody's, the Esterhuizens. Well, Esterhuizen has been here for a while, but the younger guys coming through the ranks and just showing themselves a bit and playing with a bit of nothing to lose. I would like to see how that goes, and Manie getting more game time as the year goes, because we definitely know that Manie will definitely show himself up in the obviously in the URC. But yeah, Denzel Marwan wat sê Rassie for president. Richard Erasmus will say your opinions on the World Rugby Awards. You're only even getting selected in the dream team. Manie also missed out in his category. Your thoughts, Annie?
No, I think I don't have any problems with the World Rugby Awards. Honestly, remember a lot of the viewers would think it's a Rugby World Cup Awards.
Yeah.
I don't have any problem. You look at a guy like Ali Sevilla. He's certainly, for me as a player, he was head above the rest in a season. Yes, the Springboks came through strongly in the Rugby World Cup, and then also Manie missing out. But I still also feel perhaps Manie can still do a lot better. I think in the World Rugby Dream Team, like Richard is saying, there's a lot of debates. Should a guy like Peter Step de Toey be in it? Remember, Peter Step de Toey only started playing his best rugby in the Rugby World Cup. There was still a lot of people asking, should he be in that squad?
He was iffy. He was still very iffy, before.
So if you look at the dream team, Bandi Aki, Ramos, the one player that I would have thought should perhaps be in for the Springboks apart from Eben would have been Frans Malherbe. I think Frans Malherbe had a stellar season, injury-free, scrummed well, perhaps ahead of either Furlong or one of the other props that they selected. But in general, I don't have any problems if they snap the Springboks team for individual awards, because we were so diverse in our approach. A guy like Kwacha, if we do have a rugby awards for South Africa, a guy like Kwacha, all of a sudden his name comes into the conversation, but he's not even starting games. So I think we have a holistic approach. It can either be Mani or Pollard. Do we know who our best scrum half is? Not necessarily. Who's our best number 8, Jasper or Dwayne? Who's our best lock forwards? Should Ergie Snyman replace Mostert? So we have a lot of diverse players, but perhaps not necessarily the best in the world in their position. But as a collective,
as a team,
we are a team that can really put you away. I just want to rectify people on record once again. Rassie for president. Rassie is not the Springbok coach. We need to just get it clear. But
with that said, and going back to people saying, what's his name? No. Somebody else had commented about one of the Irish pundits. But anyway, there were questions about who runs the show, and let's be frank. Let's call a spade a spade. I think on paper, Jacques is the coach, and when Jacques didn't get the award, I was like, but that's fine, because whether it's a collective between Rassie and Jacques, and they collectively do it, or Rassie does have a more dominant kind of feature in that relationship, that coach award probably wouldn't have been, for me, set right going to Jacques alone, because Rassie has such a big influence, just from whether just his persona or just his way of working. He does have a big role to play in that. But nonetheless, from a defensive point of view, as Jacques is the defensive coach after all.
Jacques,
it won us 2 World Cups, guys. It won us 2 World Cups. And in 2 World Cups of 160 minutes, only 1 try went through. And I think that's also testament to
it's strange. Even our local media gets this wrong. The Springbok coach is Jacques Nienaber. We need to get this right, guys. The Springbok coach is Jacques Nienaber. The forward coach is Dion Davids, and the backline coach is Swansea Stick. We need to get this right, and I think taking nothing away from Rassie. Let's give credit to the guys in their positions. The Springbok coach of the men's side is a guy called Jacques Nienaber, and sometimes it's just me. I'm not talking on behalf of anybody else. I think Jacques takes a back seat, where I think Jacques needs to be more prominent in the discussions, in the media articles, as the coach of the Springbok side. I know he's got support in Rassie Erasmus, who supports him secondary to whatever Rassie's role is in the Springbok side. But the Springbok coach is Jacques Nienaber, and he is assisted by a guy called Dion Davids, and he is assisted by a guy called Swansea Stick. They've been very constant, and we must also give credit to them. It's tongue in the cheek, but it's factually 100% correct what I'm saying. Again, Bok Rugby is here to stay, boys. We sent the teams to Rugby World, and both teams won. Remember, the bulk of the team is there to defend it again down under. That remains to be seen. It's quite a big debate, but was saying, we'll see Akolisi go all the way to play in the next World Cup. Well, guys like Kitchi and I know Vali should be done. We need to obviously give credit to Vali. But yes, in the back line, Damian Willemse, Kurtley Arendse, Kainan Moody, they will all be there. So it's quite a good set. But you've mentioned it earlier, Alberic. How do you get the mix right? We know that guys like Dwayne will be exiting. Maybe
Yeah.
Sia Inisi will not be going. It's a toss-up between Marks and Bongi. Will they make it to be the number one hookers in 4 years' time? Or should we bring in new blood? So it's all about getting that balance right and getting the balance right between what we have local, what we have abroad. How do we expose the players in the URC and the Heineken Cup type of championships to be ready to make it 3 in the row 4 years from now?
That's going to be very interesting. The All Blacks, I think, have a big issue. There's a lot of players that's moving on. It's Aaron Smith, it's Whitelock. I saw guys like Richie Mo'unga. Is Richie Mo'unga moving abroad? Is that, I mean, or is he playing abroad, if I'm not mistaken?
He's moving abroad, and normally the rule is he's going
policy.
to play.
Yeah. So there's quite a bit of players, big names there. And there's a lot of players that are, I think something like 8 players, which are really, really massive. But you also look at the Tyrell Lomaxes and the Groots and those guys coming through the ranks. I mean, they kept a steady scrum. I must say, the scrums were so competitive. There wasn't a lot of resets. The scrums were not messy. It was beautiful, very tough, very proper. I mean, you had 2 stalwarts in older players in Kitsi and experienced players in Kitsi and France, and you had these 2 young guns really taking us, keeping us there. There were moments where it was like a titter and a ball could have been taken over or 2. But there's a lot of exciting. I think this new cycle. I think the challenge for us as Springboks is going to be, how do we continue this momentum we've built up? It was stunted in the last World Cup with COVID. 2020 was a tricky year. Boks didn't play. 2021 we played overseas. Didn't play in front of our own fans, and that had some role to play. But the challenge for me is, how do we maintain that title of World Cup champions? In a cycle, and I mean, we beat 4 of the top 6 teams, one of us being there, in the world in this tournament. But we need to consistently do that, like the Irish did it, like the All Blacks of the 2010s, and how they did it consistently. How do we carry that momentum? That, for me, is going to be the new challenge. The All Blacks have a very good coach in Razor coming up, and it's going to be interesting to see how they approach this style, this new era that they're going to be in. But I think it's just bodes well. I think it's going to be exciting times over the next couple of years, and it's that scale might just tip again, But let's hope this time around that World Rugby don't do the draw 3.5 years before the time.
Yeah, no, for sure. And taking that into account, we know, and I think we need to check those stats. I will do it myself. I cannot recall that any team having to go all the way to win the title, that they played against so many high-ranking teams in a consecutive type of run. Remember, we had to play Scotland in the pool game. We lost against Ireland. We got through. And then we played France, who I believe going into the World Cup was number 2, just behind Ireland. We then played England, was also ranked very high. And then we played one of the very favorites, New Zealand, in the final. It is something totally abnormal. Remember, you normally get your tough games in the quarterfinal, semi-final, and final. But having to play Scotland and Ireland. Remember, Ireland as the number 1 side in the world in a pool, getting through that pool, and then having to play France, England, New Zealand. It is something absolutely unheard of, and you've mentioned it. It has all to do with the draw. The draw was all the same for all of us, and we need to take responsibility as a Springbok side. Draw, so that is a give and take. It's nobody else's problem. But,
fun fact. Fun fact.
Yes.
On this World Cup, Ireland has lost once, South Africa has lost once, and the French have lost once, if I'm not mistaken.
And New Zealand.
No, New Zealand has lost twice.
They've lost twice. Oh yeah, they're in the final now. You
They've
mean
lost
in the
twice.
final.
So it is about momentum. It is about winning those moments. And it's I think that draw, like we've mentioned, should be done later, so that we can just make sure that there's a tournament that leads. I think the French fans could feel aggrieved, the Irish fans could feel aggrieved about it. and then watching, the English playing in the semi-final, and Argies to a certain extent, they could feel aggrieved. Denzel Marman would say, want to see more of Grant Williams in a green and gold 9 jersey. Good point. I think he's definitely one for the future. Faf, brilliant this tournament, brilliant in the way we played, but Williams probably, I mean, if you remember the breakaway try, I think it was against Romania, if I'm not mistaken, or Scotland.
Yeah.
Yes, man, it's foot, eh?
Yeah.
I man it no, I petrol, and he has petrol to burn. I think he's really defined for me in this tournament of the youngsters. We didn't get to see a lot of Kane and Moody, unfortunately. I would have hoped to have seen a bit more because we know what he can do. But there's so much depth in this Springbok team.
Dit is nou my opinie waar Rassie se werk inkom, is om seker te maak dat Grant Williams en ou soos is it Jaden Hendricks, dat nie by dieselfde union te speel nie,
Oh yes, yes.
Yeah, so they need to, that is where your director of rugby comes in and to negotiate that these are perhaps the 2 players that need to go all the way. They are playing for the same union, so they can either be either or. So I think that is the trick now, is to negotiate a proper contract or find a way that either of them gets enough time, game time. But I think the ideal would probably be to have both of them playing for top union, vouching for that position and keeping each other on the toes, because I believe that both of these players, Grant Williams and Jaden, would probably be far past Faf de Klerk and Kobus Reinach going into the next World Cup. So those are the 2 number 9s that we should look at. And there's obviously youngsters coming through. We're excited to see those youngsters coming from junior box level coming through. But Grant and I think Hendricks would lead the pack for that number 9 jersey. And taking into account that they're both at the Sharks, perhaps we must find a way to either give them, both of them, a little bit more exposure instead of playing in each other's shadows going forward.
I just want to say that we've got the world champ. We are the world champions, and I just hope that Cheslin Kolbe has finally found a way to come out from behind that SA flag. Cheslin heeft
after die Suid-Afrikaanse.
If you watch that video, guys, he really struggled to come. I think he battled. He was like battling to get. I think they even made a comment of it on at one of the press conferences that he really struggled to get the in that moment when Sia lifted the trophy at the beginning of battle. So let's hope that moment doesn't that he will next time you get the 3rd shot at in Australia. And you'll do it right that time around. But yeah, guys, very exciting to see, and just excited to be a Springbok supporter and a South African supporter. Just to add to that, I mean, we've got you got 2 World Cups running simultaneously.
Aitsa. Hier gaan ek seker nog woorde moet sluk, so nou aan.
If we have to watch the show after the Netherlands game, yes, we were critical, eh?
No, listen. This, Alberic, is this new to you? This is not new.
No,
We've seen this before.
No.
We've seen this before. Now is the time for them to get into that semi-final, and as it looks, they are 1 foot, or I would say even a given that they would be in the semi-finals. If I do the maths correctly, it would verkeerd gaan nie. They will be, the Proteas will play in the semi-final of the ICC Cricket World Cup 2023. Hey.
And how hot are they looking, eh? How hot are they looking? They're looking brilliant. They actually, I mean, never mind that one blemish against the Netherlands, but and the come from behind win against.
Het jy nog nie die movie gesien nie, man? They need to go all the way. And in the words of Herschel Gibbs, I think Herschel Gibbs mentioned it, if this team gets to a final, they probably win the Cricket World Cup 2023. If the Proteas gets to the final, they should win the Cricket World Cup 2023.
Oh, man.
The groot concern is, wanneer speel hulle weer die Netherlands game? Ek weet nie. Hulle moet hom nou speel. Hulle moet hom of twee speel.
Hulle moet hom, ja, ek wil gesê het, ja.
They should not play that game in the semi-final. Daar is nog miskien enetjie wat wink. Let's hope they play it in either of the 2 remaining games. because they do have the potential. They have the team. They really have the momentum they should go all the way in this competition.
I laugh when we've seen this movie before, man. We've seen it before, man.
They go all the way. They can do it, and how good it will be if we can, the cricket and the rugby. Maar je ziet.
Ik wil dit zeggen. Als het die Engelse en die All Blacks op al twee velden gewin. Cricket World Cup in die rugby. That's brilliant, guys. I mean, come on. Doesn't it feel good to be a South African supporter right now supporting? It feels awesome. But yeah, let's see what the Proteas can do. I'm nervously excited.
Let's just flash the sponsorships of our Super Brew competition. We need to just say thank you. There are more sponsors, so we will just stay tuned. We have Light Lounge Productions in studio business, and they obviously will sponsor a photo shoot. This is for the first place, valued at R1,000, and then we promise that we will give at least to the second place. We will give something, so we have another photo shoot to give away, obviously from a different service provider, but we will show that in the next episode. We're just going to order. It seems to me that we have all the information to confirm who the second place winner is as well. It was just a toss-up for the first place, but I think Super Brew did that for ourselves. So we can confirm that Melvin Engelbrecht, Melly van New Zealand. Melly, we must find a way to get a service provider. Maar ons gaan definitief vir jou 'n fotoshoot moet gee vir jou en jou gesin, of vir jou en vir die All Blacks span, of in jou geval vir jou en die Springbok span wat gaan wegstap met 'n wonderlike fotoshoot as die wenner van ons Super Brew kompetisie. En soos verwag, was die wenner nie ek of Albertjie, maar Albertjie natuurlik wat baie beter gedoen het as myself. En ek skuld vir jou 'n koue bier, maar in jou geval seker maar koue windhoek, no alcohol of no sugar coke.
No sugar coke. But with that said, thanks also. I need to, like you just said, now thanks to Light Lounge Productions for that prize. I think, check out their website. They do some amazing work, and thanks to Niels and the team there for that sponsorship. But yeah, Annie, it's we're still going to be on. We're not finishing the season just yet. We've got another World Cup. Yeah, we got another World Cup to go through as well. So there's a lot of cricket that will be up. There's URC coming up as well, Annie. And it's going to be exciting. It's going to be lekker. Ik weet nog niet waar die Sharks will see, but we'll talk about that next week.
Listen, this brings to the end our Rugby World Cup wrap. We are Rugby World Cup champions. But if you remember, this show is Têkkel Talk Show is but a little bit more about featuring the people that make the difference, and our slogan encouraging a culture of recognition. So from next week, we will have our guests back on. We will visit events. We will visit those interventions and initiatives that makes a difference in our communities. So invite us to those things, and we will come out and film them and flight them on our Têkkel Talk Show. Albertjie, tot oor 4 jaar gaan ons rugby wêreldbeker kampioene wees. We are the Rugby World Cup champions. And for those of you that tune in, thank you so much. Albertjie, altyd lekker om met jou te gesels. Tot volgende keer, tot volgende donderdag. Goed gaan op die Têkkel chat en interact met ons socials. Lekker om jou te gesels. Lekker aan. Bye bye.